If you had to be very prescriptive and say, these are the 5 things that we're doing at my team, and this is what you should do, it'll work really well for you, what would you tell them?
Thing number 1 is delete a bunch of stuff. Delete like the legacy rituals. See what happens. Nothing probably will break. That means delete sprints, meetings, give back builders their time. Every company has a token budget, but it's not the token budget you're thinking of. It's attention.
Welcome, Chintan. Thanks for doing this with us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So, quick introduction about you for the audience. Chintan is the Senior Director of Engineering at Coinbase. And of the many thousands of companies that we've worked with in the last couple of years working on AI coding and AI code validation, Coinbase, and particularly Chintan's team at Coinbase, stands out as the farthest along on the AI adoption curve. So early 2024, you were using already, just for personal work, Cursor and the early AI coding tools.
Yeah, I was using early AI coding tools. And then late in 2024, I think Sonnet 3.5 came out. And it was a chance, we had like some stuff going on in the team and we were thinking about how to update the app and evolve it. And we're going to do a big rewrite. And I was like, well, here's our chance to like lean in hard into AI. And so got the team Cursor licenses, like great product, Sonnet 3.5, great model. And we tried it and like what you expect would happen, happened. The engineers tried it, couldn't write a fucking unit test. And they came back and said, okay, I don't think the models are like up to snuff yet. It's like, I hear you, but like, let's think in the horizons, right? And so I wanted to give the team like the freedom to learn at their own pace and everything. But I think a big part for me was like a real chance to just like lean in, become the biggest power user of the models and the tools, and actually like try to figure out like what magic can look like. And I think a big part of the change and like adaptation was, how do we make people feel like this is magical? Nobody wants a tool to help you write for loops faster. Like that's stupid, right? Like help me do the things I don't like doing, right? And so then I can focus on more important things, more valuable things that are actually more challenging.
So this is interesting because in 2024, 2025, we were kind of looking at these two halves of the software engineering world, where one half was like AI is changing everything. We're only using AI to code now and AI is writing all of our code. And it just seemed like for people like me, this very obvious, dramatic increase in the ability to program quickly and program well with AI. And at the same time, I would talk to engineering leaders and they'd be like, I can't get my team to use this stuff. Why is that? Why was it that on the one hand, these individual developers and startups couldn't get enough AI? On the other hand, engineering leaders were trying to get their teams to adopt more AI and it wasn't working.
Spicy. All right, I can give a spicy answer. I think like startups have and smaller teams have just a natural advantage where the number one focus is building for the customer and moving fast. So anything to move a startup faster is going to just get prioritized and adopted like quite well. And there's like very little baggage. And I also think like on the enterprise side, you have a large customer base, active customers. You should be responsible and a bit skeptical where like non-deterministic models are writing code for you and who knows what's going to happen in production. So I think your trade-offs are different, right? But I actually think like the more honest answer is cultural. I think there's two camps of like getting large teams to adopt and like actually change the way they work and adapt with AI. I think one approach I've seen folks take is send out the Slack memo and be like, everyone should use AI and we're going to look at token leaderboards and we're going to see your PRs go up, and no one wants to hear that. Like, you're telling me to use this thing so I can type for loops faster, and I can't even like get very basic stuff done. Like I can't even get my service deployed, but here you are, you want me to like bazooka things with AI, right? Like it's just not meeting builders where they are. Like this is not solving a core problem for me. You're just kind of saying, or for them, it's like, just push stuff onto them. I think the other option is just show magic, right? Like actually go off and solve problems for the team. And I think leaders that are really close to their team in the metal, understanding the day-to-day, like those are the teams where you can see adaptation happening the fastest. Because you know exactly where the pressure points are, you know where the bottlenecks are, and you deploy AI very tactically to go and fix the actual pain your team is facing. And from there, people see like, wow, there's actually value here. It solved a problem for me. Let me see what else it can do. And I think once you show people magic, it's game over.
That makes sense. What is an example of a wall that you'd hit in the sense where what is a second order effect of code becoming very cheap and very fast to write that a team has to now navigate?
I mean, there's a natural progression of like more code means more code reviews, right? So the time to merge increases. Okay, you fix that. And then now you have more code trying to merge because it's been reviewed. You start hitting the next bottleneck of like tests and CI, right? You fix that. You can do like lots of creative things, like even just ask like first principle questions. Why are we even running CI on every PR, assuming that agents are going to write thousands and thousands of PRs, right? Shouldn't we be looking at the brand? Should we look at a higher level abstraction? Then you hit validation, bottlenecks, et cetera. So like these are very natural. Every company is going to hit those. But my point is that is how we've designed our software development lifecycle today. But who's questioning, is that even the right design for agents? Everything we do today was designed for a slow-paced world where things had handoffs, high coordination overhead, and lots of sort of like expense. And we don't need to worry about that more. We can ship prototypes in hours. We can ship real features in like a day. Our time to production is like 1.5 days now on mobile, right? It used to be like 4 weeks, 3 weeks. But then comes other bottlenecks like input, or then like product cohesiveness, right? So it moves to the next concentric circle. And that's what I think is going to happen. People are going to realize engineers were never actually slow, right? Typing code wasn't the bottleneck. It's actually all this coordination overhead that happens within companies. So you start with the kernel of engineers. We've gotten them to be way faster because these tools abstract them to a higher level. They hit the next concentric circle. Product, design, really, what do we build? Why do we build it? Cool. Then you hit the next concentric circle. At least for like large enterprises or companies like us, it's compliance, it's regulatory, it's legal, right? How do you get all the people involved, all the functions involved that are needed to ship product in the product factory, no longer software factory? How do you get all the functions involved that need to ship product in the product factory to move just as fast as the kernel of engineers are? I don't think like, I think folks are going to take too long to realize like the bottlenecks are everywhere else.
Okay, so drawing this distinction between software and product, let's say if you were able to make the production of software 10 times faster, what is the multiplicative effect on the speed of product development? I mean, it's somewhere between 1x and 10x. Where do you suspect it lands?
The ability to ship is different than what should you ship it, just to be clear. Right. But the ability to ship should go like probably 10x as well, right? And I think what gets unleashed is the ability to experiment. So another thing like we're really trying to do differently is actually have way more experiment branches, right? Maybe some to our power users, give them a given feature set, a given build. To other sets of users, give them a different build. And actually like we can reduce our experiment cohorts to almost, if you take it to the limit, you actually end up getting custom software for smaller and smaller cohorts. You learn, you prototype, you customize. There are trade-offs there too, like product cohesion, potential lowering of quality bar, shipping slop. You should have the guardrails in place anyways, but I think the canvas for creativity increases. And we stop debating like bullshit, like should we do A or B? The best way to test A or B is actually ship it.
Cool. So your job has changed over the last couple of years a lot. How is your team operating different today than 2022, 2023?
Yeah. You know, the previous way we operated was a bit of top down, less bottoms up, more debate things on paper and then decide, and then spend lots of time in like estimates, capacity planning, and then handing things off between like product design, eng, and that like infinite cycle until something's ready to ship. And the way we solved things back then was throwing more people at the problem, right? It was just like, that was really it, right? Now the way we operate, it's actually far different. And there's even been an evolution since then. So like a couple of years ago, like we were in the tab age where like we all hit tab, autocomplete, right? And now everything shifted towards like, how do you drive a fleet of agents? How do you set up ambient agents that are actually deslopping, reviewing code as night shifts? And what really changed is where our attention went, right? Every company has a token budget, but it's not the token budget you're thinking about. It's attention. Every company has always had some set of finite tokens to allocate attention. And what has really changed is where we allocate our tokens for attention. So previously, it used to all be in code as engineers. Product would focus on the what and the why, and then design would deliver incredible, polish and experiences. Sort of shifted the model very much to one, everyone's like running through agents. Many folks on the team have deleted the IDE or just use it sparingly. We start with prototypes and we start with ideas. Like, how do we get an idea? Like, I want to, for prediction markets, for example, I want to actually have an interface that's swiping like Tinder, right? Like bet on the Spurs, bet on the Knicks, like left, right, whatever it is. It's like a different interface. And this normally would have just been like a debate for a week, get into a sprint, talk about it in stand up, endlessly just yap about the building and the work we need to do instead of just doing the work. And now I can literally just take that idea, spin off some agents, and have a working prototype in an hour. And it's okay. There's going to be things that are not perfect, but I can get a feel for it. I can share it with the team. Hey, what do y'all think of this? Like, yeah, we love it. We don't love it. Change this. You get faster feedback cycles. And where our attention actually is now going is we build the prototypes. We earn the right, like PMF, and then we have a separate lane to productionize. And we spend tons of time now on building loops. And I like to use the word tracer bullet. Like, it's a pretty common term, but like, what are these end-to-end workflows where I can go prompt an agent, tell it my spec, build it for me, and actually, most importantly, like set the validation criteria. And so what's actually changed in the way we operate day to day, no more sprint planning, no more stand-ups, everything is async. We go to prototypes first. Meeting, like, I think lots of teams are measuring PR volume, and I think it's just it's directionally okay, but it's really honestly a vanity metric because you can game the heck out of it. Directionally okay. I actually think there's like a real good proxy that not enough people are looking at, which is how much time is your team spending in meetings? Did you actually change something fundamental about the way you work? Not can you write code faster or ship faster. You actually have to delete so much stuff in this like legacy baggage ritual of sprint stand-ups, project kickoffs to unlock what's available for your team.
Okay. So you talked earlier about ambient agents. You talked right now about sprint planning being obsolete. So I spent the last couple of days meeting engineering leaders in New York, and I was thinking about sort of the delta between where they were with using AI to code and where Coinbase is today. If you had to be very prescriptive and say, these are the 5 things that we're doing at my team with how we program using AI, and this is what you should do, it'll work really well for you, what would you tell them?
Thing number 1 is delete a bunch of stuff. Delete like the legacy ritual. See what happens. Nothing probably will break. It'll be fine. That means delete sprints, meetings, like give back builders their time. Even take away crutches like the IDE so people can actually make the mindset shift to think about agents. And you'll see that teams start building their own tooling to manage and like help them with their own work, because the workflows actually change. Like if you're just putting AI on top of your existing workflow, you are just amplifying something broken. AI was never designed for things we used to do and the way we used to work. I think the second thing is you need to give team members a safe space to learn, right? It is nearly impossible for someone to be held to a roadmap and also go learn how to use AI. So things I've done, it's like I literally like pause product work for 2 to 3 weeks. This trend I'm seeing is like the leaders will always stay at the tip. And then there's some folks that are like playing catch up, and it's about a 2-month catch up. And so like every 2 to 3 months, we do this. We like retool ourselves. We pause some work. We get in person. There's various ways to do this, but you have to give that safe space, that time for people to adapt. Like if you really want to change the way they work, you got to give them that time and space to learn. And also you as a leader need to get in there and delete a bunch of the stuff that like is slowing them down. I think the other biggest thing is focus on tracer bullets. Like start with something like, how do I make a copy change? And literally just like prescriptively go step by step by step. How can I get an agent to do a copy change or a button change? And then go into higher complexity and like figure out what's breaking and solve one tracer bullet, then solve the next tracer bullet, then solve the next tracer bullet. And you'll start seeing then this compounds. You will realize where ambient agents make sense. You will realize where like explicit agent fleet management makes sense. You'll realize where validation is needed and was like totally broken. You'll also start just fundamentally questioning why the software lifecycle, our build process is the way it is. I think the last thing is just like literally run experiments. Like do not be afraid. Like take something that you had planned 3 months in your roadmap or 2 months to build and literally just sit down with someone and build it in a day. Try. Our biggest learnings have come from like doing experiments where we shipped like Apple Native Pay in our app. We thought it was going to take 2 months. We just Ralph looped it. It shipped in a day. It was crazy. Our jaws dropped. It was like so fun. We learned a bunch along the way. We took on an experiment. How fast could we rebuild our entire app from a fresh code base? It took 1 week, 85% of the way done. We learned a lot. We learned that our existing code base wasn't designed for agents. So that was the learnings we took. And if you're not experimenting, if you're not like willing to just blow stuff up, you're not going to adapt. You're just going to like amplify your own bad stuff.
So in summary, first step, reject the rituals, get rid of the rituals. Yeah. Step 2, investigate each tracer bullet, whether it's a migration or the development of a new feature or bug fix from first principles and see how it can be done differently. Yeah. And then third, experiment very deeply. What would you say to an engineering leader that says, oh, this is great, but we're like a very regulated financial institution. We can't do the same things. Of course, you operate under a lot of those same constraints. What would you say to them?
I think that's like the biggest cop-out answer I could ever imagine. What's actually being said underneath the hood, and I don't think people mean this when they say it, but, oh, we can't do this. We're a regulated institution. You should already have the guardrails in place. You're a regulated institution. You should already have a high quality bar. You should already have a great review process, right? And yes, it was designed for humans. And yes, things change because agents are writing more code. It's non-deterministic. Agents could hallucinate. So yes, you need to do something in addition, but don't take the cop-out answer, we can't use AI because we're regulated. Like we're doing it. And we've thought through the things that matter, where we hold an extremely high bar in security. We also have added tons of more like agentic reviews, but have then a security risk framework where like every change that is being proposed in a PR, it's scored against our security framework. And that really governs like, can an agent actually be the approver? Or do we need multiple human reviewers? Like the things don't change. You're still regulated. That's why it's like a cop-out answer. And like, you need to have those discussions with your security team. You need to have discussions with regulators. The most important thing in all of this is like, there's some auditability, some trace. Like that's the thing that matters the most. But what I won't accept where like is we can't do this. Great, you can't do this. Someone else is going to, and you're going to be left in the dust.
So earlier this year, you asked your team to delete their IDEs and code entirely with agents. And that seems to have worked out well. What is your tooling today overall, and what's working well about it?
Tooling's all over the place, but this is like by design, right? So there are team members using Cursor, but they've gone with the agent mode there, and it's great. And at some point, yeah, we like sometimes we got to look back at the code, and that's fine. We definitely use Claude, open code. We also have our own in-house background agent system called Forge, where we can just like ship stuff through Slack, and it's actually multi-repo, it's multiplayer, does long-running work. But I think where we're shifting a lot and we're trying to get everyone onto a similar sort of thinking is recently we've started doing these, like we started tracer bullets. And you can think of that, it's almost this looping thing going on Twitter right now. Like, Your agent should be writing the prompts and they should be validating, and like that's how you should prompt, where agents can validate and actually get to the outcome. And so we have a traceability, a very simple traceability, like I want to ship a new screen. Great. So we write the idea down in Slack. We have a skill that enriches that idea in a linear ticket. It interviews the user. Said, is this what you want, X or Y? Do you want it for this area of the app? Do you want it for all users, some users? It's just like our little product interview. Then it hands off to an execute plan, right? And that execute plan pulls other sub skills like create screen, which pulls from our design system and actually creates a screen from Figma. Or if we're building like a different kind of prototype, it just creates the Figma itself as a prototype. It executes the plan, and then it moves, it writes the code. We have agents reviewing the code, all that good stuff. And then we have a handoff point where it hands it off to agents to verify. So an agent verify skill. And that's like just a wrapper we built on Argent's agent device, which is like a great tool. And we can actually plug in other tools like Maestro, et cetera. But effectively, the agents are looking at the initial spec we wrote, has like a YAML file that specifies like run these tests, run these user flows. And it spins up a fleet of simulators in the cloud. So we can spin up like 50 simulators, iOS, Android, et cetera. And it's running through on different sort of device form factors, different software versions of our app. And it just effectively validates the user journeys we're trying to build for. Like, did the input work? Did the button work? Did what we want happen? And that's like the end-to-end traceability. The output is like a report. It worked in these areas, didn't work in these areas. Great. Like spin up more agents to go fix it now, right? We have an agent looking at the report. So now we can think about the starting state and the end state, and the traceability actually fills it all in. And we can just do it. The agents are actually just doing these handoffs, but between themselves across these steps. That's the workflow we're trying to move towards. And we've laid it down well. It works. We can now just rip things way faster. And yeah, we're going to hit bottlenecks along the way and we'll fix them. But that's like our mental model shift in tooling. And then, yes, we still use like local tools and we still use our cloud tools like Forge. But in effect, like once we've really nailed this traceability too, we then graduate it to our platform, Forge, so that everyone at the company can like now start benefiting from it, right? And then, yeah, we can then rent the models. We can hot swap models all day long. But what we have to get right is the workflow.
And your pull requests go through Greptile.
They do. They go through Greptile. Greptile provides great reviews. This is not a paid for ad, but no, like Greptile's been great. Like everyone hit the code review problem. And what I love about like your team and the product also is just, it works. Like you guys have a great team. You're responsive and it works well. And we also supplement it with our security bots and our security agents and other council review agents that we have. So we have like lots of defensive barriers in place.
How has your idea of a good engineer changed in the last couple of years?
I think we've always had good engineers. I think what greatness looks like now. I think like non-negotiables for me is still someone who understands the systems, understands the difference between prototype 0 to 1 versus like long-term, durable, extensible architectures. Like the fundamentals need to always exist, right? But a lot has changed in where engineers get to express themselves and where they spend the time. So the judgment is a non-negotiable. A great engineer to me starts looking more like a little bit of a product thinker, a little bit of a designer, sometimes a business person. Like they're able to wear more hats. Why are they able to wear more hats? It's just because they have more time. They're not spending as much time coding. They should be spending a lot more time thinking, understanding the customer. What are the needs? And I think this is not to say like great engineers are going to replace product folks or designers or other functions. Like they will have finally an opportunity to grow their grow more skills and superpowers. So a lot of folks talk about the T-shaped type of engineer, right? Go really, really deep in something and then kind of be broad in other things. I think now you can have a jack of all trades and a master of some, not just like one, but some. So they're spending more time talking to customers. They're spending more time thinking about the product to build. They are able to like context switch, but actually through agents, where they can have agents cooking on the side to either like build context, build ideation, build growth experiments, look at the data, and then they know where to focus their energy on the harder bits of the problem. I think great engineers, in some sense, are indistinguishable from almost any role. But that doesn't like unicorns are hard, but like I think everyone just has this chance to develop superpowers.
Has your interview process changed in accordance with this?
The way I think about hiring has changed. And the way I think about setting up my team has changed. So I think there are a couple pieces. Like I wanna hire for, I think, the future shape of a team. And I think the future shape of a team is significantly flatter and also much more autonomous, where normally teams would be like 7 to 10-ish engineers, maybe higher, maybe lower, whatever. But rather, where I want it to go and what we're experimenting with is we have small pods of 1 to 3. And in those pods, and this is how it shapes my hiring and the way I think about it, I look for pirates and I look for architects. Pirates are folks that are focused on 0 to 1, rapid prototyping, okay with throwaway code. Their job is to find PMF, think about stuff, very product minded. Architects are trying to take things from 1 to infinity. So something that we know we will want to scale or have earned the right to scale, they're building that durable, extensible, scalable architecture. And different people can wear both hats. One hat, like, it just depends on the person. And I think it's important that there is enough sort of dissonance and complementary skills within these very, very small pods that are empowered to own the business outcome, that are accountable for the business outcome, and that they can just move at the speed of AI, right? And so we push decision-making down to the pods. That way they don't need to ask for permission. We don't care if they're giving status because they're responsible. We can pull status from tools ourselves. And then what happens is you have a larger fan out where like lots of little pods are kind of rolling into like an EM, PM design type of lead that are looking at a portfolio, right? And this is just like from a product lens, like shipping a product. It could be different from platform teams. And the number one thing in hiring, like agents are very good at writing code. I think leak code is like useless. I think system design interview questions on a whiteboard, like everyone can go and look at the tutorials and do it. Like what I really want to look for in engineers is their judgment. More importantly, because these pods of the future are so small, there are fewer places to hide. You can kind of hide in a larger team. So the way I think about it is just, how is this person to build with? Like,
How do you test for that?
sit and build with them. Hey, here's something we want to change in our product. Let's like walk through your product thinking. Let's see what you care about in terms of taste and judgment on design. And yeah, let's ship it. Like, let's actually take something in the product and build it. And it could be a sandbox or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's like a detail. But I want to really understand how this person thinks across product, design, engineering, business, what the users want, what trade-offs they'll make, because this is how we really work now. And I want to measure and assess, is this person a great, or is he or she a great builder when now they really own the business outcome too, right? And that's typically, I think, a skill set engineers were never held to in the past. The business outcome was like 1 or 2 steps removed, and maybe it was like a proxy through a product manager. Bringing folks closest to the customer, closest to the business impact has always been like our goal as engineers, right? Like we all care, like everyone cares. So I just want to build with them. And I think it's very simple. Just sit down and build with them, see how they do, and give them full access to all the AI tools, anything, and see where they make those trade-offs on like deeply understanding parts of the code versus, I know this is shit, I'll get back to it later. Let's actually test this thing for PMF. Let's see how users will love it first.
My last question, you were early to AI coding, you were early to agents and getting your team to use agents. What is next? What is the next big thing that you want to do with how your team builds software?
I think the next big thing is simply like the product factory. And the product factory where a lot of the friction goes away in shipping, and I can ship like ideas from my phone or laptop, it doesn't matter. But we can get to prototypes incredibly fast, and we can get things from intent to production incredibly fast. And a lot about the product factory is honestly like, I'm not worried about the models. Like we can, like, that's fine. They'll get better. We can rent them. I'm worried about like getting the platform right and the working model right. And I think in the future, like the way we express ideas, we should be able to get a working build at our quality bar, at our size, at our scale within minutes, right? Like that's the goal. I think like from there, we will really have like deleted and shifted our attention to then a new set of innovation where we'll start seeing like way more interesting tools. Like I love like the tool space of designers and engineers working more closely together. And then we'll have more time to innovate on like, how do we do, at least for like crypto, like agentic payments, right? And how do we actually experiment with these ideas more? And I want us to get back to innovating instead of debating, should we build A or B? Like, let's try it. Let's see, let's experiment. Let's like really build out this product factory where we can go from idea to intent to production in like minutes to hours.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing this with us.
Thank you. Super fun.